Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed Pop Radio. And you know me, I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trail, The Rant God, Hotep Thanos, all of the above on that ISET test and ACT. You know what it is. Here to bring you all the third Challenge 35 Total Madness Rant entitled Dun Dun Dun. Banana Peel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I'm entitling this rant Banana Peel is simple. I feel like a lot of players got caught slipping tonight, coach. And in this episode, in this rant, ladies and gentlemen, I've got notes somewhere stapled together. But you know what? I don't know where I put them. So I guess we could just freestyle this for the most part, because what I witnessed tonight is on the same levels, ladies and gentlemen, of when Ninja knocked out Laurel. Jay, the guy I've been telling people who has a unique skill set. You know, he has a unique set of skills similar to Taken. You remember the movie Taken with Liam Neeson? He has a unique set of skills, ladies and gentlemen. He came from Survivor, a game that is mainly, it's mainly dominated by social players. And that's mainly because once you get to the merge, no one cares about what you can do for the tribe because they all had to do it up until that point. Jay was someone that I had my eyes on as having a lot of potential moving ahead into this game. But never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that so many things would have come to fruition. We've got so much payoff from just the first episode alone, ladies and gentlemen. Reminder, the first episode kicked off with Jay it kicked off with Johnny Bananas giving the responsibility of dictating how the House vote would go by pushing it on to CT. CT then proceeded to voting for Jay. Jay came up with a unique defense in his honor, bringing up how, wow, you're just going to target me out of all these other people? I mean, how is that smart for you? I could come after you too. And CT was the main person saying, yeah, I know you could come after me, but I'm not worried about that compared to all the other options. Now, isn't it very ironic? Isn't it poetic justice that the one who would knock CT off of his perch would be Jay, right? And see, this vindicates everything I said last week, y'all. Because I had people telling me, oh, D made a mistake, Dave. D had no business not throwing herself in when she saw that elimination, Dave. She chickened out. Everyone was throwing D under the bus. But after seeing CT fall on his face, and what was the thing I said to y'all last week about D? I said she did not want to be the first woman eliminated coming off of being a returning champion. It would have been embarrassing. And it would have given more credence to her haters believing that that was a fluke. So fast forward to this week, CT, he's basically trying to take that power vacuum and he's trying to prove, I'm not scared of nothing. Woo, woo. I've won multiple seasons. I'm CT. And to be fair with you, this challenge, this elimination was 100% tailor-made for him to win. And this is something I would like to petition an MTV coach. If you're going to essentially make it so if you get a red skull, you could still be thrown in to get targeted. MTV, this is just a suggestion. I'm sure the majority of hardcore fans would agree with me. I don't think it's fair for you to wait for the tribunal to see what the comp looks like before they throw themselves in. I think it takes away from the risk reward factor and the overall payoff from the audience perspective if the players that are in your season get to see what they possibly could be competing in before they take that chance. Because in my opinion, if you don't see what's going down there and you still volunteer, then you look even more of a legend if you win it. And you look even dumber if you lose it. Well, actually, you can't look dumber because I feel like for CT to look down, see that comp had ropes involved, thought it would incorporate all of his skills and still take a L, it actually made him look stupid, more stupid than it would have if he never looked down. And see, everyone expected Jay to lose tonight. And see, I'm not someone who watches spoilers. So that's why I'm coming into this rant so hot. I'm excited, coach. See, all the people that want to spoil the world for themselves, they're not really excited right now. But what I just witnessed was great TV. That whole episode, we got a lot to talk about, coach. We got a lot to talk about. I might not have my notes, but it's all in here, coach. We're going to talk about it tonight. Okay? So at the end of the day, coach, people forget during Challenge Invasion, CT knocked out Darrell in a comp that incorporated tying knots. So understand, for Jay to pull this off, listen, we need to give this brother his due. And see, there's people hating on Jay. During the competition, people were hating on Jay. You had Grizzly Bear, you had Bear coming out the war. He's so weak. He's lifting 2 center blocks, coach. What you want him to lift a third one on his shoulder, coach? You know what I'm saying? Oh, he's so weak. You got Bear of all people saying, Bear, didn't you get eliminated last challenge and admit to the world that you had to put on more muscle? So isn't it a bit hypocritical for you to be the main guy pointing out who's weak right now? You feel what, Digby? Come on, Bear. You know, just when I was starting to grow to like you again, you say some dumb stuff and you totally I just don't understand what's on Bear's mind, okay? It's like, bro, why are you hating? Now, I get it. There's a lot of people doing challenges when it looks like someone's going to run away with a finish. They pull the Josh card. What they essentially just start rooting for that person over and over the rest of the challenge. That way that person doesn't think they were against them at any moment up until that point. But for Bear to do that, I just thought it was beta male behavior, coach. No excuses for that. But let's rewind a bit, because there's a lot of things that led to this moment, ladies and gentlemen, that I would like to dive into. Number one, the vote came down to pretty much a tiebreaker, which relied on West to be loyal to Bananas. And that is another reason why I'm calling this rant Banana Peel. In my opinion, Ashley and D really got caught slipping tonight. Now, I truly believe if a Paulie or a Cara or if maybe even a Ninja were in this season, I think they would have had the majority vote. They would have had enough people that would have stood 10 toes down with them to blindside Bananas here. But when you really break this down, I didn't understand some of the motivations behind some of these votes. You had KC voting for Nelson. What? See, up until this point, I'm thinking CBS is an alliance, and they're clinged at the hip to Nelson and Corey, and then KC goes and votes for Nelson, which was a proverbial burn vote. But if the votes get as high as 5 and 6, it's not really a burn vote. That's you choosing a side deep down. And see, I can't figure out what side Casey's on. She just looks like a complete floater at this point, coach. She's really living up to Josh's name. She's playing just like him, coach. It doesn't make no sense. Now, I expected Josh to not vote for Bananas because he worshipped his dirty draws last season. I expected him not to vote for Jay because that isn't politically correct, voting for Jay, because there's supposed to be some type of a CBS under the table agreement. And since he wouldn't even vote for Asaf, who was linked to Nani during week 1, it makes a lot of sense why he wouldn't vote for Jay now over Bananas. But for him to also vote for Nelson, doesn't that once again show us another example of how Josh won't hesitate to throw a black person under the bus to appease white folks? Woo! And yes, I wrote that in my notes to go that exact way, and somehow I freestyled it on point. That's just what I do, coach. It's just what I do, coach. I'm in my prime tonight. I hope y'all enjoying yourself. Oh, there's a lot more stuff to discuss, because you had the Holy Trinity Alliance. You had Jenna and you had Nani vote for Nelson as well. And I'm thinking, like, why wouldn't they just vote for Jay again? They voted for him the first week. And this is when I realized Jay is playing a fantastic game. Have y'all noticed ever since Jay took out Asaf, he has essentially taken that man's entire power vacuum? Now all the women in the house cling to Jay like they cling to Asaf. Isn't that interesting? Enough women cling to him to the point where Kayla didn't even want him to go home, so she snitched to Corey and Nelson about the plan. And this is another thing I gotta discuss. Now, we gotta give Corey Wharton credit, man. You feel me? He showed me tonight that his game has matured several levels. When we saw Rogan taking it so personal, just because D was kissing Jay and Rogan was willing to go into that elimination and face Jay just because of it, and he let his emotion take over his game. Understand, that was Corey Wharton. That was early Corey Wharton's gameplay. Very emotional, right? So in a lot of ways, I'm looking at all these other players make these mistakes, even players like Rogan, who was won a season before, and he's making the same mistake Corey made with no challenge win behind him. So it just goes to show the best of players can make these type of mistakes. We saw CT make this mistake tonight. If it wasn't for West, Bananas would have made a huge misplay tonight, and he wouldn't even saw it coming. And Kayla wanted Bananas out. She just didn't want her alliance to know that she was going against their wishes. And see, that's another side of all of this, right? By Nelson snitching on Kayla to the entire house, yes, it made Nelson an enemy of a lot of people because Kayla tried to go ahead and backpedal, and Corey backed her up by backpedaling. And let me explain why that made a lot of sense for Corey. Number one, Nelson has turned on Corey in the past. He doesn't owe him any unconditional loyalty. He just owes him enough loyalty as a black man. Let's keep it a beam. Once we get to the end, let's cut each other's throats. But until then, I got your back. All right. So from a codified perspective, I wasn't mad at what Corey did there because this is what he did. He guaranteed Kayla will stay as his confidant moving forward because he proved to her what goes in his head will not come out of his mouth. He allowed Nelson to be the snitch, which tells Kayla, all right, from now on, I got to talk to Corey without Nelson in the room, meaning Nelson is going to have to rely on Corey moving forward to establish any type of relationship with Kayla, meaning the bridge is completely burned with the majority of women on this season now. So Nelson 100% has to rely on Corey to be his mouthpiece for the women, when in reality, Nelson used to be a ladies' man himself. Isn't it interesting how Nelson, in his pursuit of being a villain, he has now portrayed himself into a corner to where he has to rely on Corey to just carry him deeper into the game. I mean, even Swaley brought it up tonight. They brought up how we might as well pick Nelson as one of the three for the tribunal because the majority of people in this house now view his game completely differently than prior to the house meeting, ladies and gentlemen. So I mention all of this to say I'm excited because I've never seen this many people from a new player perspective, old vet perspective, mid-cycle, been around, but not really achieved nothing cycle type player. All three levels are looking at their win conditions and they're pivoting. And see, this isn't something you see on any other TV show. Can we be honest with ourselves? If we watch any other show that's based around strategy, the newbie either gets targeted immediately and gets eliminated from battle and has no chance because production makes sure they don't, right? And they reward the returning players because those are the ones who understand how production wants the show to be recorded, right? But in this season, anyone can get the smoke. And if Jay is a perceived layup, the same way Ninja was a season ago, and he takes out CT the same way Ninja took out Laurel, that flips everything on its head, ladies and gentlemen. It flips everything on its head. And now no one really knows who to be loyal to like that. And that's great from a viewership standpoint. No matter who you're rooting for, you have to be happy at all of these players playing as hard as they are, showing that hunger, that passion. You feel a dig me, coach? Now, another thing I noticed, and see, this is why I mention certain things in rants and people think they're just throwaways, right? But they all play a role later in the season. Remember a week ago when I went out of my way to mention how the Holy Trinity Alliance is like the direct opposite of how production viewed Cara Maria and Paulie's alliance, and they tried to label them in a demonic way. Remember I broke that down? Now, did you notice how tonight Wes labeled Nelson, Corey, Faisal, and Swaggy? Didn't you notice how he labeled them the Unholy Alliance? You see that? All the Apex production vet pets are going out of their way to try to portray themselves as pure. And they're portraying everyone else who is just doing what they did when they were new once upon a time. They're portraying them as evil. But let's keep it real. Anyone that understands the art of storytelling knows that anyone can be a protagonist. It's all about the point of view you're seeing it from. You feel a dig me, coach? From Thanos' point of view, he was purifying the world. From the Avengers' point of view, you're trying to kill a lot of innocent people, coach. You're trying to turn this into the leftovers. You feel a dig me? But ladies and gentlemen, I was impressed by a lot of stuff I witnessed. And by the way, get your questions ready, ladies and gentlemen. I will be answering them at some point. Another thing I wanted to mention about today's episode, J and D. You know, last week, D was going crazy over this Jen chick, right? Everyone was mad at D because she wouldn't go down there and take her out herself. Rogan ends up being the more emotional one than D was. He ends up being the one who can't compartmentalize his feelings and can't put self-preservation before revenge. He was the one who showed tonight that he couldn't do that. He tried to make an under-the-table deal with CT to get it done himself. And it's funny, if CT couldn't beat Jay in this comp, it's highly possible that Rogan also would have lost this comp to Jay. But yeah, And that's another thing of it all. I think by CT picking Rogan as part of the three for the tribunal with Swaley, but not picking Kyle, I think that was CT's way of showing us he was more loyal to Rogan than Kyle. And Kyle has been drinking, just swallowing all of CT's bathwater lately. So that's another indicator for future seasons now that CT is out. But it will also be interesting for us to pay attention to Kyle's game moving forward. It appears he might be trying to get a showmance going with Melissa based off what we saw at that party tonight. I don't know if any of y'all noticed that they're both from the UK. She appears to be a DJ of some sort. I don't really remember her from a prior season, but she does check the boxes of the type of women Kyle likes to be with in these type of shows. So that's something for us to look out for. I think him and Melissa will probably align with each other now that CT's gone. I think Kyle will most likely be kicked out of the Good Boys Club with Wes and Bananas. I think Wes and Bananas most likely will try to pivot. But the question is, where do Wes and Bananas go with no CT, right? CT was almost like the mouthpiece to allow them to jump on both sides whenever, which way they wanted to. And Wes went out of his way to protect Bananas tonight, and he avoided the banana peel. But I'd argue he did nothing but push CT in front of the banana peel. But we got to be honest here. CT pushed himself in front of the banana peel, though. You know, CT should have just did what D did last week. But see, this is what I'm saying. See, I have to apologize. Usually I get the rules correct. Last week, I thought you get a red skull, you're good. You made the final. The way everyone was overreacting to Jenny getting one, you would have thought she already made it. So if you get a red skull, but you could still be taken down there, why does the red skull even matter? In theory, it shouldn't even matter. And I mean, yeah, they're guaranteed if they make it there, but at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but I would be more likely to target someone with a red skull then. You feel it, dig me? Because it seems like if you target someone with a red skull, you burn the least amount of bridges in the game because these are people already have been targeting. So it's almost like targeting a pawn in Big Brother all over again. So by them trying to incentivize people to compete, they're almost incentivizing them to still play kind of scared because a lot of people are only targeting people who already have a red skull. You see what I'm saying? Besides Jenny, they ain't going to target her. She got one. She's going to break the mold, coach. But I'm happy for Jay. I'm happy for D because she's been vindicated for her decision and her showman stayed in the game and Rogan's got to sit with that another week. Jay was talking that hot stuff before he faced CT to Rogan and then he took out his big bro. I mean, it got to a point where Rogan was calling CT his papa. He took your daddy out, coach. You feel it, dig me? He took your daddy out. Now what you got to say? Like, can you really talk down to him ever again if he took out the one guy who you could argue helped you win your season? I'm just saying. I think there's an argument there, you know? Now you got to wonder, will production go out of their way to keep Jay from challenge 36 because they kept Ninja from 35? You feel me? I feel like if you knock out someone who was clearly one of the front runners to win the season, you deserve to make the next season regardless. For Josh to be here after losing to a guy with one hand in a sledgehammer competition, for him to show back up, but for y'all to not let Ninja come after she eliminated Laurel from battle, I think it's a travesty. But we wouldn't see this great D gameplay this season either. So I gotta take some with I gotta give up some and take some. You know, give and take. Also, another thing I want to mention. By Wes staying loyal to Bananas, he betrayed D. He did vote for Jay. So the question is, ladies and gentlemen, will this play a role moving forward? Will Wes and D have a split based off of this? Because right now, I'm pretty sure more women than just D is looking at Jay like he got the magic stick. Pause. But when you win 2 straight comps, when you knock out Asav, the one all the women say, oh, when you knock him out, okay? And then CT, Mr. Cutthroat himself, Mr. Play the middle until the cows come home. When you take him out with home field advantage, doing a comp that is his wheelhouse directly, I'm sorry, coach. But you can pick whatever chick you want at the club for that following night. And right now, Jay is buying the bar, coach. You feel me? And I'm not mad about it, coach. I'm not mad about it at all. Now, I'm not going to stunt with y'all, man. I wish I had my notes. Hold on. Let me get my notes real quick because I think I'm missing something. Give me a second, coach. Give me a second. Oh, where did I put my notes, man? I'm sorry. This is coach. I know this is low budget. Give me a second. Is that it right now? Nope, that's not it. All right, I'll be right back, coach. Oh, I found it. It was right here in the cut. Man, listen. I'm over here. Man, listen, I'm sorry about that, coach. Man, I'm looking for the notes, man. Because, see, that was all the stuff freestyle-wise I wanted to get out there. Oh, let's talk about Anissa Swaley. Wait a minute. See, I knew I was. That's why I had to go grab the notes. I'm burying the lead somewhere here. See, y'all know me. I avoid spoilers, right? And I'm not gonna stunt with y'all. A lot of people that I be following on Twitter, man, they have tendencies to like posts that are very spoilery. You know, I've seen someone post something about, "Oh, I can't wait to see Bailey eat up Anissa on Zoom, on Skype during the reunion." And I'm like, why would that happen? Well, you know what I'm saying? So it naturally made me go into this episode a little differently. So when I witness what goes down between Anissa and Swaley, first off, it wasn't even a situation where Swaley is even aware of Anissa's hate. That's what makes it worse to me. It was really Josh-like. It was Josh light, right? For this sister. And see, I'm gonna keep it a bean here. Because I remember her being in a showmance with Corey Warden. And I remember her being goo gaga, so happy this young bull was going in her china shop. I remember she was so happy. She wanted the world to know that love was real. Remember that? So for this girl to hate on this young couple because they have now, I'm gonna be 100% real though. Back when BB20 was going on, I criticized Swaggy's game for going into the game with clothing that had his name on it, his branding on it. I thought it was a bit tone deaf from a strategic standpoint. Now, with that being said, I will admit, for Swaley to come into a season like this with a comforter or a blanket that has their likeness on it, I could see why someone who is a challenge vet would take exception to that. But the way Anissa went about pointing it out was from a hatred position. Now, if she was just going to knock it from a strategic standpoint, like say something from the effect of, if you're trying to work yourself in our good graces, it's not going to work if you have that. Like if she were to make it more of a constructive argument that was based off something, then I wouldn't knock her for that. But the way she went about it, you know, she just made it seem like they're disgusting because they like each other. That's how she painted it. Okay. And in my opinion, Anissa, sister, you from the Chi. We ain't built to hate like that. And in my opinion, coach, the showmances you've been in the past, you was just like that. Now, you may not have had your likeness on clothing, on merchandise, on materialistic objects, but at the end of the day, coach, when you're in love, you're in love. Now, from a strategic standpoint, I don't think that is conducive to them being great players, having stuff like that lying around. But at the same time, though, I felt like production putting that into the episode itself felt so out of place. It felt like they were looking for something to kind of. It looked like they were trying to give some bait to the Swaley haters. Like, okay, they're winning every challenge at this point. Let's give them something to be mad about in the forums. Let's give them this scene. That's what it looked like. And see, when the criticism comes from another black player, it allows production to hide behind that black person and say there is no racism involved. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm really doing my best to give production the benefit of the doubt this season because I see that they are looking out for Bailey in subtle ways. But I had to point this out. That was lame. What Anissa did during this episode was just pure lame. And then when it comes down to her vote, she votes for Jordan. It's like, okay, you burn your vote on Jordan? You could have made a difference in this vote. You could have voted for Bananas, you know? And see, here I'm thinking she's going to align with the black players who are all aligned on one side, which happens to include a showman she used to be involved with. Isn't it interesting how Kayla can mend fences quicker than Anissa? With a black person? Isn't that bizarre? I think this is telling us the type of mindset Anissa was in coming into the season. And maybe they chose someone like her over Cam because she wasn't on code. I mean, I'm just breaking it down. I'm just giving y'all my thoughts, man. You feel me? But I 100%, listen, I wasn't feeling it, man. So essentially the challenge which decided the tribunal, Swaggy was fighting really hard, of course, to keep himself safe. But he also wanted Bailey part of the tribunal. It came down to him and CT. CT, of course, wins. This leads to Bailey becoming second place, getting that second slot in the tribunal. And then they have a debate back and forth. And see, I thought this debate was really interesting. This was the first time we've legitimately saw CT put himself in a position where he was actually vulnerable. He was willing to give Bailey swaggy on the tribunal if it meant he was able to go in. Now, eventually he was okay with Rogan going in, but I think CT always had it planned out for himself to go in all along, especially after he realized Jay was the person he was up against, ladies and gentlemen. I 100% believe he was sold on that idea from the get-go, but, you know, I just understood CT's side of this. I mean, from his point of view, this could all be a lie to get Swaggy a red skull after finding out who the house chooses. In theory, this is one of those rare times when CT is actually allowing himself to be in danger. CT of old would have just settled for someone neither are working with to keep the whole house happy and play both sides. But hopefully the same people who were mad at D for not taking an unnecessary risk a week ago can empathize with her decision, because even Swaggy knew the red skull wasn't worth it this early in the game if you could just be thrown back in. Ding, ding, ding. See, if my opinion about getting a red skull never gets you thrown back in and you make the final no matter what, then I agree with y'all that D made the wrong decision. But if you can always be thrown back in anyway, D would have just went back in with a red skull just like Jay did. Let's keep it a beam. Nothing would have changed. And if you black, the minute you go in once or get that red skull, guess what? It makes it easier to vote for you again because someone already did it. Someone already pulled off the vote. It's less blood on everyone's hands if they jump on code to get you sent back down. Let's just be honest. And when you are a rookie, it is even easier to get people to vote you in. And that is why Swaggy refused to go in. And I believe he made the right decision then, today, the same reason why I thought D made the right decision a week ago. I feel like if you thought D made the wrong decision a week ago, but you think Swaggy made the right decision this week, you're a little biased towards Swaggy. At least admit D also made the right decision and we can move along. So those are my thoughts on the whole CT situation with Swaggy and Bailey. Now, the commercial breaks ends and all the women seem to have Jay's back just like they had Asap's back. Jay's social game seems to be superior to all the other rookies, besides maybe Corey at this point. I mean, Corey, they refuse to say his name. They run to him with information. I mean, you even saw Swaggy, Faisal, Corey and Nelson try to recruit Wes to flip on Johnny and join them. You feel what I'm saying? So, and honestly, I could see it in Swaggy's face. He 100% was going to stay loyal to Wes, you know? And CT even mentioned it when they were deciding on if they should pick Swaggy's third member for the tribunal. You even heard CT say it. I don't know if I can trust you, big brother people. That's what made Swaggy say, hey, man, we ain't all about backdooring and blindsiding people. That's not all we about. And CT was like, oh, no. You know? So it's funny. I got to watch this episode back now knowing CT gets eliminated because there's so many lines in this episode where CT is just, he thinks he's Thor in Asgard, you know? Jay came through like Loki. You feel it, dig me? He said, hey, man, listen. Plot twist. You feel it, dig me? I know production was heated after Jay straight up. After Jay body. I mean, you had Rogan saying, whether me or CT face Jay, he's leaving in a body bag tonight. You feel me? That's the type of stuff when Turbo says it, he's automatically eliminated. I mean, let's keep it a beam, man. Oh, man. But yeah, so yeah, I pretty much already mentioned that. But yeah, so Kayla gathers information from the women regarding who they're going to blindside, which was Bananas. She runs to her former showmanson, Corey, and tells him and Nelson about Bananas being the target. Now, I documented last week how Corey is never like Bananas. And see, it's funny. Everything I said last week came to fruition tonight. And in a lot of ways, it's similar to The Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania. So make no mistake about it, this information is music to Corey's ears because he never liked Johnny. Same goes for Nelson. People forget Nelson and Shane were the team that took out Tony and Bananas a few seasons back when they appeared to be unstoppable after Corey got eliminated for body slamming Tony. So this story writes itself, and every player played correctly here based off the source material from prior seasons. All right. So I got to give them credit from an edit standpoint. I think this was a masterclass by production. I think these episodes this season have been really good. And I think the bunker trapping them the way it does and not allowing a lot of people to escape outside is really good, because the game talk that happens, you have to include people you normally wouldn't if it was an open space. So this creates a snowball effect of strategic pivoting before the House vote, because Wes is noticing an alliance forming. I already mentioned that. Now, the bunker vote begins. Bananas kicks it off, not knowing everyone has been plotting to flip the game on him. This is a situation where Bananas really needed to play more safe episodes ago. Bananas is doing all these funny things during the House vote with CT and Wes, but CT and Wes aren't viewed the way Bananas is viewed by newer players. They view Bananas as Michael Jordan. Because of this, they will always disregard other vets to target him. Jenna, Josh, Nani, and KC vote for Nelson. Already mentioned that. Why is KC doing this? Does she want Nelson gone to weaken Swaley? That was on my mind. Why would she want Big Brother's alliance weakened when it weakens her in theory? Is she a secret member in the Holy Trinity Alliance? This was a dumb play on their end. A woman's elimination is next week. Why make Nelson mad when he has a higher chance of being in a tribunal than Jay? And did Kayla betray her alliance by telling the men the plan to backstab Bananas so early? Because it appears they all voted for Nelson in response. You know, that's another thing on my mind. With Kayla being involved with Bear, and based off of the preview of next week's episode, it looks like Bear could be eliminated just for using a fire extinguisher indoors. I don't even know why he did that, but Bear, he's one of them type of guys. He does dumb stuff. But, you know, with her entertaining Bear, with her trying to play both sides, you know, by running to Corey, you know, Kayla is proving to be the biggest Achilles heel in the Holy Trinity Alliance. Jenna and Nani seem to be 100% loyal to each other. And honestly, the more I look back at it, I don't even remember Kayla and Nani being that close in prior seasons. Maybe I didn't really pay attention to it that in depth, but it does feel like their relationship is a bit convenient at best, in my opinion. But that was just my thing, my talks. Yeah, please do not forget to like the video, ladies and gentlemen. And at the end of it, please do not forget to share, of course. So at the end of the day, Nelson loses his head because he's being blamed for targeting Bananas after Kayla incepted the idea into his head to target Bananas. This leads to him snitching on Kayla, and then she loses her mind talking about he took it out of context. But in reality, Nelson didn't take anything out of context. She just got caught betraying her alliance in front of the whole house, that's all. And see, the thing is, a woman can stand up and get loud, and she actually looks like she should be believed because of how emotional she gets. A man, he really can't match her energy without looking like a beta male. If he stays quiet, he looks like he has something to hide. Nelson really had nowhere he could go once Corey refused to back him up fully. And at the end of the day, like I mentioned previously, Nelson betrayed Corey in a prior season. So Nelson, you got one coming for you. In my opinion, Corey shouldn't be looking to sell his game down, social game down a river for you when all you want to do is be a villain this season. Now, Corey plays it political by relying on semantics to back up Kayla, but at the same time, he admits he ran intel to them. She ran intel to them. That way, she will tell him insider information moving forward. I mentioned that as well. But at the end of the day, this was a total masterclass by Corey here. In this one scene, we see how far Corey has come strategically versus Nelson. Nelson is focusing on that villain label he wanted so badly, while Corey is focused on making sure the women keep him safe, just like Jay. More facts. Now, I already mentioned that. Now, after this vote, after Wes stays loyal to Bananas, after Bananas makes a big deal out of it by trying to smooch the guy on the mouth. Now, we all know that was acting, but at the end of the day, by Bananas being so dramatic about the moment and by making such a scene out of it, he 100% told Corey a lot of information. Now Corey knows that Wes is 100% tied to Bananas. And now that CT is eliminated from battle, let's keep it a bean. Wes may have made the worst decision for his long-term game by aligning to Bananas after this vote. Because in reality, if he turns on Bananas here, right, and he doesn't vote for Jay, he allows Bananas to go down. CT never volunteers to go in. And I'd argue Bananas, CT, and Wes are still in the game somehow. I'd argue that. But because Wes stayed loyal to Bananas, he lost CT. When in reality, He just had to be his normal West self, but he can't be his normal West self based off the structure of how the Red Skull is implemented into the rules and regulations. So because of that, West had to alter his gameplay, which in turn knocked out the other person who plays both sides just like he does. I mean, isn't that poetic justice? It's poetic justice, man. So, and from someone like me who saw 34, challenged 35, wait, is it 35 or 36? I mean, someone that saw 34, my fault. For someone like me who saw 34 and saw a guy like CT avoid going down there to purgatory over and over again, for him to go down there once and just get eliminated, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing because honestly, they allowed him to get away with way too much last season. Now, Jenny is definitely becoming Dee's best friend after Dee looked out for her. She is helping her close the deal with Jay before purgatory. Rogan is surprisingly getting jealous. He called Jay Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings tonight. And of course, he said he would leave in a body bag. I see where Rogan is coming from, but I also understand Dee's perspective. In my opinion, they are becoming the new bear in Georgia. And I think no one would disagree with that, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, the tribunal finally meets up to decide on the three people to interrogate. The only problem I have is Swaley were given no time in the edit to show what their political game in the House would be as being part of a tribunal. You know, I thought Swaley deserved more time to ask people questions, especially the men. Like, do you want to get thrown in? Now, I get it. They're technically aligned to Jay. So if they were to be seen conducting deals and throwing people in versus Jay, it would be perceived as them turning on Jay. So I see why we didn't see nothing of that, but I at least want to see them explain why we're not seeing nothing of it, right? Otherwise, it kind of sullies them as tribunal members because they made this whole episode about CT. They made it CT's tribunal, even though he had 1/3 minority in it. You know, and now that we know he leaves, that's why they did it. But at the end of the day, I truly believe Swaley deserved a little bit more visibility just for being one half of who won that competition itself. And since Swaggy could have won it versus CT, it's very possible that both Bailey and Swaggy could have won that comp and just swept it. So I definitely thought they deserved more time, especially since Anissa threw them under the bus. I thought they needed something to balance that out, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, maybe production thought them winning the comp would balance out the negativity. We don't know. So at the end of the day, that's the problem I had with it. We didn't see them cut one deal to a guy down there versus Jay. And while I admit Jay is their guy, so they don't want him to go, it makes zero sense for the only scene including Swaley talking game had to include West. In theory, someone should have wanted to go in versus Jay, not named Rogan or CT. But it seems like people were too scared this week to rock the boat after such an explosive House meeting. Swaley talks with CT about Nelson possibly being a choice. I don't think it was wise for Swaley to put his name up there to begin with. Felt like they were throwing CT a bone here after Nelson came for bananas. Bear being chosen third made some sense because CT would have wanted to protect Kyle. But in theory, if Jay is considered a layup, CT should have wanted Kyle to get a skull if Rogan and him couldn't get one. This tells me CT is more loyal to Rogan than Kyle, even though Kyle drinks CT's bathwater, which I mentioned previously. Swaggy tried to convince Rogan he doesn't have to be the one that takes Jay out, which is what Dee did a week ago with Jen, and I agree wholeheartedly. But Rogan took things way too personal, which is a cardinal sin in this game. Rogan is basically playing like Corey used to back in the day. I'd argue this is the same thing that got Jordan knocked out by bananas back in the day during Challenge Free Agents 1. CT decides to choose himself to go up against Jay instead of voting for anyone else. I like this move because the seeds were planted during episode 1 and we get immediate payoff after CT voted for Jay over all the rookies to kick off the game. Jay was the one telling CT he could come after him at some point, and CT decided to meet him halfway. This comp is a bunker challenge where you must reinforce your area good enough. That way it can hold up long enough for you to break through the opponent's bunker. You know, I really like this competition because it had everything. It had physical, it had mental, it had everything, right? And no one from up top could help you in this competition. No one. It was you versus the other guy. There was no interference possible. There was no proposals on the line. Wink, wink. You know, you had to hold your own. As Tariq Nasheed would say, you had to hold your own nuts in this competition, coach. Now, so CT plans to use his not tying prowess from challenge pass to slow Jay down, and boy, did he. This took me back to the challenge versus Darrell during Invasion, where even big Darrell couldn't crack the puzzle of these knots. Jay never really had a chance in this comp, and this is why I believe players shouldn't be able to decide to throw themselves in after seeing the comp. They should force them to make a decision beforehand. I already mentioned this, but the way everybody clowned Jay during this comp, I couldn't be more happy about him pulling this off, ladies and gentlemen. And it just goes to show no one is a layup on the challenge. No one. Because everyone has an off night at the office. Everyone. There are some rants where, I'm clicking at all cylinders like tonight. There are some rants where I'm not feeling it. There are some rants where I just string 10 in a row that are classics, but it happens to us all. We're all human beings. These people sized up Jay and they thought he would be nobody, right? But Jay has won more competitions in 3 weeks than Josh has in 3 seasons, coach. They sub-zeroed the kid. Josh at the perfect time. They was like, hey, we got to put a halt to this. He's on fire. If this was NBA Jam, listen, coach, there's no way I'm taking an L tonight. You feel me? That's the truth of it all, man. You feel me? You got Josh out here on Instagram. Oh, Faisal is going to be rookie of the year. And you got Jay who just decapitated CT in front of the whole world. Like, bro, and I'm shocked, honestly, because Faisal got some melanin. I thought he would have chose Jay. So it just go to show, Faisal, look, I'm not going to say that. But at the end of the day, something makes Josh respect Faisal more than Jay. And that's just what it is, coach. But if you were to tell me Jay would take out Asaf and CT 3 episodes in, and people wouldn't even speak about Jay like he's a problem, I would say, listen, that ocean water in Wyoming looking quite nice right now. All right, man, let's get to answering questions, man. What's y'all thoughts on this episode, man? I got to hear it, coach. Well, Jay is not going to, Jay ain't playing no games. But see, it's like I say, man, Jay been on Survivor, coach. This man has been through, literally, he's been through purgatory. You feel me? This feel like a vacation to him, coach. Can we keep it a bean? Like for real, bro. And I was trying to tell people before this season, hey, man, don't count Jay out. This man blindsided Michaela, coach. You feel me? In order to get Michaela to think you 100% on her side and then cut her like that, and for her to sit there and try, really, Jay? Really? Jay had to have wooed her something well. He had to have convinced her they would ride or die final 3 or something. And that is more of a reason why we need to pay close attention to what Jay is doing to these ladies on this show. He has a way with these women, coach. Low key, I might start calling him Casanova J, man. I might just call him CJ from now on. The way he getting it done, bruh. It's looking like San Andreas, bruh. He knocking people out, just straight up doing drive-bys in these purgatory challenges. It's over, coach. But no. At the end of the day, I'm happy. I'm happy he did that because, listen, the last thing we needed is to go into the 5th week of the game, and there's only one. Well, actually, no matter what, there would have just been one guy with a red skull, huh? If CT knocks out Jay, there's one guy with a red skull. If CT gets knocked out, there's one guy with 2 red skulls, which is just one guy with a red skull. And that's another thing, TJ. Shouldn't y'all have thought ahead of time if you weren't going to allow this to be an automatic berth to the finale? Shouldn't y'all have thought about, well, what if someone gets more than 1 red skull? Shouldn't you have thought that should help safeguard them for being able to knock 2 people out the game? I feel like Jay deserved more than just to get another skull. Okay, what is this, graffiti art? You know what I'm saying? What is this, cosplay? Does this trap card activate when he summons a monster or not? For real though, what's the point of having a second red skull if it don't make no difference? For real, there's no incentive. And see, if you would have put incentive to having multiple red skulls and having it impact the strategy in a positive way, guess what? More people would be willing to throw themselves into the line of fire with one. And that would have made the game even more unpredictable. So this is once again just me throwing out another suggestion, coach. So the 2 suggestions that you should take away from this rant are, number 1, Whoever's in that tribunal should not be able to look at what the competition could be before throwing themselves in. They should have to make that decision before they even show up to the pit, number one. And number two, I just mentioned it. You feel it, dig me? If you get more than one red skull, it should have a positive impact on your strategy. It should not be a placebo effect. It should not be a placebo effect. Man, homie is out here with a broken arm, and they say, hey, here's a Band-Aid. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I going to do? You can't give me a sling, coach. You feel it, dig me? But that's neither here nor there. Let's get to answerable questions. I'm just saying, coach, like, I feel like Jay knocked out CT, and it's like production is so bad about it, they ain't even reward him with nothing. And see, here's a hot take. If a production pet would have got 2 red skulls, do y'all really think them red skulls would have had no impact, like they wouldn't have stacked? I think if somebody like Jordan or Tori, well, let's say Tori got thrown in instead of Jenny. Let's say next week she got thrown in again somehow. If she would have got 2 red skulls, it would have done something, you know. But see, Jay right now, he's a rookie. They don't really know what he's going to become. They don't really know if he's great TV. His showman's is someone they don't really care about in D. So they're trying to play it kind of safe with him. And I think that's why they didn't want to overpower him after he got the second skull. But at the end of the day, the risk has to be worth the reward at some point. And if I'm the only person who's confirmed a finale, if I still got to compete against a former winner and I knock him off, man, I should have some trophy to come with that, you know? But that's just my take, man. I'm sure y'all agree, man. And please do not forget to hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't agree more, Miss Marley Jones or Mr. Marley. Marley spelled a certain way. It could be unisex. I'm not sure, ladies and gentlemen. But match that. No, let me stop. But yeah, Marley Jones, I agree with you. Anissa is a hater, coach. See, the first rant of this season, I was actually very optimistic that she would take Bailey under her wing. But man, you can see it, man. These women are threatened, man. They're threatened in ways that you're mad that this couple in their early 20s is caking it up. That's what you mad about? Nani dang near 40, and she was flirting with ASAP a week ago. You ain't have a problem with that, coach. You had to hit up Tiger King the way she was being a cougar. Don DeMarco. Oh, that was a freestyle bar. See, that's proof I can come up with magic at the drop of a dime, coach. That's proof. That's proof. You will dig me. You know, but yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on Anissa, man. Straight hating. And for what? And for what? Like, I don't understand. You know, I don't understand, man. I don't know. It's just weird, man. Shout outs to the Mighty Mods, by the way. Shout outs to Jay Griff. I see you, coach. Casey always goes with the production pets. You got a point there, Jay Griff. That just might be her strategy to lay low. I mean, she said she doesn't plan on talking to anyone. That was like her strategy in the premiere episode, which is very similar to her strategy in Big Brother, if we're being honest. But the way she voted tonight, I mean, voting for Nelson, I just don't understand the strategy of it. You know, I don't understand. Now, maybe she looks at Bananas like, I can't target you. You're a former winner. I'm a former winner of Big Brother. I wouldn't want people targeting me for that. So I don't know. I shouldn't even give her outs for that terrible play she did tonight. I shouldn't even give her outs. And I shouldn't give Anissa any outs too. And I don't know who else voted for Jordan today, but Anissa wasn't the only one. So if any of y'all remember who else voted for Jordan, that's something very key to pay attention to too, because most likely that's Anissa's ride or die. So you can hashtag that one as well. You feel it, dig me, coach? I really think Anissa was joking. Miss Jackie? Nah. We've watched Anissa for too many seasons. She legitimately don't rock with them, coach. You can feel it. Because think about it. If it was a joke, Anissa, we would have seen a confessional of her showing love to them first. That way we would have took it as a joke. By her never showing any love to them during any of the prior episodes before she said that, we have no grounds to stand on to believe that that would have been a joke about those specific two people. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like athletics. Let's say you the freshman baller that they want to push up and skip the line and go all the way to varsity. Them varsity cats ain't gonna feel that. They thinking about school. They thinking about college. They thinking about being accepted. They thinking about minutes. They thinking about game time. You know, even though it might be better for the school in the long run to let you shine because you got another 3 years, they looking at you like this ain't your time yet, young blood. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not saying Anissa necessarily feels that way. I just think she hating on them because they young and in love. I just think it's that, right? Because we ain't heard her hate on nobody else, and that's because no other couple in the game really has anything real. You see what I'm saying? Well, I guess besides Tori and Jordan, but Anissa also dislikes Jordan. So, but once again, we don't see no confessional of her disliking both of them. We see her only hating on Jordan. So, I don't know. And tonight, it seemed like she had more of a problem with Swaggy than she did with Bailey. So, those are my thoughts on it. But I don't know. We'll see. That's my point. This is just something for us to deposit into our brains. And moving forward, we will see updates on this situation, Coach. You feel me? Nagate says, I'm so shocked that CT got eliminated. I know, right? But see, this is why we watch the challenge, man. This is why. We watch Big Brother. Stuff like this never happens, man. Never. You feel me? Remember that one time during, what was that, BB13, when everyone turned on Jeff? Remember how badly they treated, what was that lady's name? I forgot her name. Shelly, I think. They treated her so bad for turning on Jeff. Treated her so bad. I'm talking outside the game, inside the game. Everyone treated her like she was the worst thing ever. Just because she made a sound game decision for her own win con. You feel me? I like the fact that the challenge fans out there, they take it personally somewhat, but at least we don't see it as the negativity as often. You really got to do some digging to see the negativity in this community. I feel like in those other communities, it's right there out front, and it's almost sponsored by CBS, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so let me get to questions and see what y'all think. Yes, Josh is definitely a hater, CM. Absolutely a hater. I mean, come on, man. You feel me? The man just straight up voted for Nelson. Like, what is wrong with you? You feel me? Like, that just didn't make sense for Josh's game. Just vote for Bananas. Bananas ain't aligned to you no more. He used you last season and threw you away like a used tampon. And here you are. Please accept me back, Johnny. I'll make banana pudding with you. Let me stop, man. Let me stop. But understand, y'all, the way this cat finds a way to placate and acquiesce to these other players. But when it's somebody of color, he just doesn't see the purpose in it at all. But then, if you look at him on social media, he has the nerve to type brother with an A at the end, when nothing he does warrants him saying the term brother. Nothing. You definitely don't act like one, but that's neither here nor there. Let's move forward. CM asked the question, do you think they will target Jay for another purgatory since he beat CT? I think it's highly possible, CM, because in a season like this, where a red skull doesn't guarantee you make the final, you are 100% incentivized to just keep targeting the same guy because you will not burn newer bridges with other people by creating another target for other people, right? So people are just constantly going to come after Jay until the house gets a majority that is Jay's side. And that's the key to it. Now, I think now that CT's gone, there's one less vote. That's a third less political power for Wes and Bananas without CT. I think the game flips on its head. And I think we won't see Jay back in there for a while now, because I don't know how you can get enough votes to send Jay back in now that CT got cut off. I think a lot of people are going to be scared to face Jay now because he's a bit of a wild card, Coach. He's a bit of a wild card. You mean to tell me this guy took out CT? I mean, remember, when Ninja took out Laurel, no one was really in a rush to face Ninja. You notice that? Now, granted, she was part of the majority alliance that ended up running the game the rest of the season from that point forward because she helped flip the game with that elimination. And that's my point here. I think this elimination will flip the game, and it will most likely ensure Jay stays around for the long run. So those are my thoughts. Marley asked the question, did you catch what Jay told Rogan Swaggy and Bailey won't vote you in during their fight? Yeah, I called that. I caught that. That was Jay basically trying to tell Rogan, hey, look, I'm aligned to these people. They're part of the tribunal. Yeah, that was Jay basically saying to Rogan, look, I'm aligned fastball now in because they're going to want to keep me in the game. And at the end of the day, for CT to just volunteer himself in, that took Swaley out of the picture, that let them off the hook. Now Rogan can't use that information against Swaley because technically Swaley didn't make a choice because CT threw himself in. Rogan now doesn't have CT as a confidant. Now Rogan looks a little bit like a stray dog. Rogan tried to create some type of an olive branch with Corey during week 1. We'll see how long that lasts with the D situation going on, because if D is aligned to Jay, who is aligned to Corey can't really be seen aligned to Rogan, right? All Corey can do is not go out of his way to target Rogan, which will in turn probably lead to Corey using burn votes on other people. But see, that's once again another reason why Corey is playing masterfully so far. He's got so many people trusting in him, even though he hasn't had to really promise them a thing. Facts, coach. Neon, shout outs to brother Neon, man. He asked the question, what do you think of the West Bananas Alliance now that Corey knows? Do you think it'll last? Actually, I really like the West Bananas Alliance, even though I'm not really rooting for their side. This is one of the few seasons where, and I got to give this challenge credit, I don't have to root for your side to still like you as a player. I feel like other shows, if you're not rooting for that side, you find it really hard to like the person because you're watching feeds and you see them at their lowest point. We're not seeing all of that. We're seeing pretty much everyone's highlight film, highlight reel. We're not really seeing their lowlights. And with that being considered, I really like the fact Wes and Bananas are together. In theory, them together should be very powerful. They will have full incentive to be part of the tribunal next week because they will want to dictate what woman goes home first. And at the end of the day, now that they've lost CT, let's keep it real. This forces Bananas and Wes to 100% probably align with the Holy Trinity Alliance because they don't really have a choice outside of them. From a women's standpoint, because all the other women are 100% on Jay's side. You feel me? So I guess they could reel in Melissa maybe, because Melissa is probably going to be linked to Kyle. Kyle will probably take CT's place, working with Wes and Bananas. They're probably going to try to bring Bear in as well, but if Bear gets himself eliminated with the fire extinguisher, they're down another number. So they could be cursed this season for all we know, but that's why we had to keep and keep watching, ladies and gentlemen. Damn, can you do these lives after the file reach my Fire Stick? I don't have cable. Wait, what is she saying? Damn, can you do these lives after? I'm not sure what you're saying, coach, because I am doing it after the episode. I'm not sure what she's saying. Hopefully you could comment again, Alma, and I'll know what you mean. Miss Selena, shout out to Miss Selena, the mighty mod herself. She says, Josh is making me angry on these last two seasons of the challenge. I mean, listen, this is his behavior at this point, right? He pines and simps over on white women. He throws black men and black women under the bus, and then he has the nerve to selectively act like he's black when he needs our support or when he needs our clout. Wash, rinse, repeat. Casimir says, every girl called Casey beautiful on the MTV YouTube page. LOL. Interesting. Oh, well. Good luck with that, Casey. I hope you're able to go crazy with them sticky fingers, but that's neither here nor there. Let me stop. Miss Selena asked the question, did I hear it right when you said Jay is aligned with Swaley? That explains why a couple of weeks ago, after the first episode, Jay and Corey was on live with Bailey, was in her comments asking, well, yeah, because think about it. Why else would Bailey still vote to have Jay's back after Jay mentioned Swaggy's name in episode 1? I brought that up with a purpose because by Bailey checking him but still riding with him, you feel me? She told us what her pregame alliance was in a nutshell. Otherwise, she would have checked him and then voted the other way and said, hey, skip you, coach. You feel it, dig me? He should be free from 2 eliminations because he has 2 red skulls. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Nagate. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been my third rant, ladies and gentlemen, of Challenge 35 Total Madness, entitled Banana Peel. Did I catch some of y'all sleeping with some of these hot takes? Please comment below and let your boy know. I am once again Dave Smith, and this is Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism, Coach. I will be back next Wednesday for another rant. But until then, I hope you all stay safe and stay healthy and be smooth. I'm out. Deuces.